Welcome to Signs of Dyslexia and Dyslexia-Friendly Techniques for EFL learners. This short presentation will show you some signs that could indicate that a student of yours might be dyslexic, and also I will present a few techniques that are quite dyslexia-friendly. This hopefully will help your dyslexic students succeed. So one of the general signs that we have here is difficulty following instructions. Students are different, dyslexic students are different, okay, so they don't all have the same difficulties, but this is something quite common. Sometimes because instructions are rushed, because maybe sometimes instructions are a bit too long, so they might struggle with them. Poor concentration, so that's another thing. A lot of dyslexic students might get easily distracted, their concentration might be poor, and they might also have co-occurring learning difficulties such as ADHD and Asperger's. So this is also another sign. Dyslexic students might forget new words easily, so this could be an issue if you're teaching vocabulary. So this is something to look out for. Also, there might be a big discrepancy between spoken language and written language. So you might have a student who has acquired language quite well and is fluent and is articulate when speaking, but when they have to write an assignment, they might struggle with the written language. So therefore, the assignment might not match their spoken language. Some students might get letters mixed up, letters that look quite similar, like B and D, P and Q. They might come up with bizarre spellings of words that they've recently learned because they haven't actually acquired the spelling yet. And they might have poor reading comprehension. So if you got a text, they have just read the text, and then you ask them questions and they don't have a clue what you're talking about because they haven't actually comprehended what they've read. And some of them might get tired very easily. So by the end of the lesson, with all the information that they have, got, they might just feel really, really tired. Some dyslexic students will miss out words when they're writing. So you might see a sentence that makes no sense because, they forgot a verb here and they forgot, a noun there. They also might struggle with telling the time. So if you're teaching the time, obviously that could be, a problem. They might struggle when you're teaching directions because they get right and left mixed up. They might not be very good at organizing themselves. So you'll have one of those students who, always forgets the pen and forgets the book. They might have bad time management as well. So they know they have an assignment to be handed in a few days, and they think, oh well, I've got all the time in the world, and then suddenly they forget to do it, or they try to do it just before lesson because of this bad time management. They might avoid writing words because of poor spelling, so they know the vocabulary but they don't want to use it because they forgot how to spell the words and they don't want to look stupid. This is a comprehensive mind map just showing loads of different ways in which dyslexia can affect people. You can take a look at this later on if you wish. There's a lot, again, of information there for you to, have a think. Now, here are some of the techniques that might help not only your dyslexic students, but just, language learners in general. First of all, you could think of breaking instructions down. That will help a lot because, like I said, if you give a lot of instructions at the same time, students might feel a bit lost. They don't know exactly what they're being asked for. So breaking instructions down can be quite helpful. Avoid white background. This is important nowadays. A lot of people use computers, and if you have a PowerPoint presentation, you've got the white background and you've got the black print. This can cause what we call visual stress. It's also called scotopic sensitivity and Erlin syndrome. It's 3 different names for the same thing, pretty much. In this picture, you can see if you've got a white background and you've got a black print, a student might see that a bit blurry. So that will make it much harder for them to read. Now, if you change the background color, in this case it's just blue, it makes it all much clearer. So if the student has visual stress and you're not aware of that, and maybe even the student is not aware of that really, just avoiding the white background altogether will be really, really good for them. Try to use different colors on the board if you're using just a whiteboard. That helps, students actually see the things, find where things are on the board. Avoid fancy typefaces if you're using um, a PowerPoint presentation, typefaces that could be difficult to read. Try revisiting new vocabulary and grammar frequently, because this is something that we call overlearning. So the more a student sees the words, the more the student sees that grammar structure, that will help them learn and stick that in their minds. Try to use multisensory activities as well. So if you've got a video, you've got obviously the picture, you've got the audio, you might want to do an activity that people move around, so that will help learning take place. Try to break long texts down as well. Obviously this is good for reading comprehension. Okay, so if you have a long text and you break that down into smaller paragraphs, that will make it much easier for the student to understand what they're reading and get the meaning of, from the text. A lot of students might be quite visual, so they want to see the stuff. So if you're teaching them new vocabulary, if it is something that you can actually bring into the classroom, then use, props or just, pictures. So that could help individuals learn a lot. Unfortunately, a lot of dyslexic students might have had the bad experience of being called stupid, not only by a peer or, maybe even a teacher. So self-esteem is a big issue as well. It might be a big issue. Because sometimes they can't really put down, the information that they have in writing, or because they can't recollect something that they've learned. So, try to praise them if they've done something really well. If it's, well done, that should help their self-esteem. And marking as well comes into that, because if they've just given you a piece of writing and then you scribble all over it, showing them every single, spelling that they got wrong, or any grammar that they have got wrong, this could affect them in a big way. So try to focus when you're marking on specific words, maybe, or specific, um, piece of grammar, anything that you have just taught them. So that should make it a bit less upsetting in a way. Set clear deadlines. Like I said before, they might struggle with time management. So if you give them deadline as soon as you give them the assignment, that hopefully will help them. Try to make activities fun. Try to make your lesson memorable. So anything that's fun will stick to their minds much easier than just a boring lesson. Mind maps. Not all dyslexic students like mind maps, but a lot of them will benefit from that, so this could be helpful. Give time limits for the activities. Like I said before, if they struggle with time, if you give them from the beginning, hopefully that will help them. And give them thinking time. A lot of teachers struggle with silence. So you ask a question and you want an answer right away. Sometimes that's just not possible. They need some thinking time. Not only your dyslexic students, but any student they might have in that classroom. So don't worry, just give them a bit of time to think before they give you an answer. Thank you very much. This is all my information if you want to contact me about any questions you might have. Obviously, this is just a short presentation, but basically I hope that this will be helpful. Thank you very much. Bye.